Hey, Daisan here. Today we're going to look at the new event, Rising of the Shield Hero. So this is a collab event with 6 brand new units that we're going to look at today. Our first unit we're going to look at is Naofumi. He is an intelligence tank, and he is the best tank in all of Overlord Mass for the Dead. With 8,300 HP and 6,652 defense, this makes him like a very sturdy brick wall. He has very excellent skills, his first skill being a 80% damage reduction for 4 stacks. His second skill is a single target debuff, which inflicts 50% attack and speed debuff and 30% defense. And his last skill is what really makes him good, I'd say, is the ability to give himself 100 defense and his ally he chooses 100 defense. Then he gives himself and the ally 1 stack of physical and 1 stack of magical defense shield to take 1 hit. So that's really solid. And then what makes him the best at being a tank is one of his passives is cover, which allows him to block an attack for an ally at a 100% chance while he is over 30% HP. Then his second passive, or his first passive, is just 10% physical and magical defense, which helps him stay alive. His overdrive does nukes an enemy for 7% physical damage while inflicting 25% bleed. But overall, the cover ability mixed with his really good defensive skills make him arguably the best tank among any other unit we have. The next unit we're going to look at is Raftaria. She is a technique enhancer. Her only niche I could see from is her ability to AoE -4 hit to all the enemies as her third skill, which also lowers their crit chance, but that's not so important. Besides that, her second skill is just a self buff for 40% physical attack and 1 evasion, while her first skill is a physical attack to 1 unit and has a chance to inflict 25% attack down to them as well. Her passives are 10% physical attack and 10% speed. Like, pretty decent for an enhancer. She actually has a surprisingly large amount of HP with 7,543 attack and like attack. And then decent speed at 426. But like for an enhancer, that's a really high base attack, I'd say. But like normally you see that kind of stat line on an attacker instead. Nothing else really to mention about her. Her overdrive has a evasion buff to herself and damage to an enemy, but so-so. Next is Philo. Philo has a single target wind type attack, and then she also has wind AoE as well. She is a speed attacker, so she actually lines up the typing and then the like element type as well, so she hits really well against things weak to wind, which is nice because we really haven't had a unit like this who kind of had both the correct typing and the correct element. She's kind of, I say, better than like Samurai Demiurge because he also matches the power fire typing, but her stats are just I'd say a bit better with her ratios because she has the 2 hits for her AoE compared to like his 1 hit. And then really good bonus rate and attack for a single target, and has the bonus of lowering the enemy's speed by 15%. Her passives are magic attack up, speed up, which are, like I said, really good for attacking units. And then her overdrive is a self buff to herself for 30% magic attack, 50% speed, and then like the single target damage to an enemy. Next, we're going to talk about Glass. Glass is interesting because her base attack is 9,104, which is the highest in the game now. Besides that, though, she's a technical attacker. Okay speed, 375, not kind of the 400 we've been seeing lately. Like, decent HP, 7,200, decent defense, 3,199. Her first skill is a physical damage that lowers the enemy's hit by 1 to a single target. Not bad, not what we're looking at. The second one is her self buff, which is 3 MP, 40% ice strengthen, 31% crit up, which is really good because you might not use it, but if comboed with her last skill, which is her 5 MP single target, it lets you nuke for like tons of damage. Her 5 MP single target skill is 165 ice physical, and then it has a bonus 100% element rate up, which is really good when it's, because normally when we have element rate up, it doesn't get that high. Plus she's a technique type, so technique and ice are a very good match because then you can nuke the ever living god out of like power fire types. So like she hits a lot harder than Mighty Warrior Cocytus. Her passives are 10% speed, and then she has like a really meaty 40% physical attack up when she is at 100% HP. So that means if you get her first shot off, she's going to be hitting for like obscene amount of damage. Her overdrive is a AoE attack that does attack down for 30% to all enemies as well. That's nice, but like ideally she is just a really good single target nuker. And then 5th unit is Lurk. Power attacker, 8,000 attack, really nice. 440 speed, also really nice. Like, oh, not even 6,000 HP is super low. He's kind of like a generic farming unit, just based off of his 5 MP AoE skill, which is 70% wind to all enemies, and then 25% attack down, which is not bad, but like a decent farming skill, not bad for waves. He has a self buff, which is 2 MP, 50% wind up, 40% physical up, which helps his AoE. But then he has a single target skill, which is just 118 physical, and it has 15% defense down. This is very similar to First Seat, except that he has a much better stat line. Besides that, he's kind of got that cookie cutter 10% physical attack, 10% speed that like a lot of units we've been seeing have gotten. And then his overdrive is just wind attack to all enemies at a high elemental rate, and then he has 30% attack down to them as well. So not bad. He's like a wind power attacker, which is like not ideal, but still solid. Besides that, we're going to look at our last unit, which is Terrace. Terrace is a heart attacker unit, and she has 7,600 attack, 384 speed. What makes her a bit different is her 4,000 defense, which is a lot hardier, like kind of like Shizu hardy levels of defense for an attacker. She has a single target skill that inflicts paralysis at 50% chance, kind of a high rate for 3 MP, not bad. Her second skill is a 40% attack up to self for 3 MP with +1 evasion, so kind of keeps her alive. Not bad, not bad. And then her last skill is a 2 hits of fire, AoE to all enemies for 38%, with a really good element rate of 65% as well, and inflicts defense down to enemies. So it's kind of like a really good farming skill because you use it and it allows other units to hit them harder, and is reminiscent to kind of like the Did Alive origami AoE. Besides that, passives 10% magic attack, but instead of 10% speed, she has magic defense, so she's kind of like a more defensive farming unit who can take a bit more hits than the ones that just have +10 speed. And then her overdrive is a flame type AoE with 80% elemental rate and 30% defense down. That's about it when we're looking at all the units. I'd say Naofumi SSS, best tank in the game, best unit of this collab. Really strong, really solid like tank, like cannot be beat, best in show. Gotta emphasize that one more time. It's probably the unit you should be pulling for. Besides that, Raftalia, it's a kind of, she fills the debuffer slot of a traditional team that has an attacker, a buffer / debuffer, a healer, a tank. So she kind of like makes the enemy miss your team. And it's good if you're running evasion relics because they stack on minus hit and then plus evasion are 2 separate parameters that need to get checked when an enemy tries to swing at you. So it's really good to make sure the enemies miss a lot with evasion relics. But besides that, doesn't really do much out of debuffing. And then Philo is kind of, I guess, the premier AoE unit of this collab. She's a bit better than Loik and Terrace because of her good typing and her high damage numbers. Then Glass would be the best single target unit in this banner, and probably even in this game, just due to her really high attack, her really strong element rate up and ratio on her single target 5 MB skill, on top of her 40% like damage gain on having full HP. And then Loik and Terrace, I'd say really solid units with good stat lines, and they're good for farming content. And even if you were to bring them into like harder content, they do their job well. But there's always better people who can specialize in other things. And that pretty much wraps up the video. Thank you for watching part 1, where I cover the characters of the new collab, and then part 2 I'll be covering the relics. So please tune in and watch that when that comes out. Thanks again. See ya. Peace.